what is a hate crime? And why do we have hate crime laws? Let's start with a very basic definition. According to Britannica.com, a hate crime is harassment, intimidation, or physical violence that is motivated by a bias against characteristics of the victim considered integral to social identity, such as race, ethnicity, or religion. Okay, so Britannica mentioned race, ethnicity, and religion. In a second, I'm going to go to the FBI site to find out specifically which types of bias they consider hate crimes. But first, I want to acknowledge what I learned even from Britannica's short explanation. I gathered that hate crimes have a different motivation than most crimes: bias. And that the bias is against characteristics of the victim considered integral to social identity. That sounds pretty important to understanding this. Okay, so according to the FBI, a hate crime is a traditional offense like murder, arson, or vandalism with an added element of bias. Okay, so that's helpful. It's not saying hate itself is the crime, it's a traditional offense with the added element of bias. Got it. For the purposes of collecting statistics, the FBI has defined a hate crime as a criminal offense against a person or property motivated in whole or in part by an offender's bias against race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, ethnicity, gender, or gender identity. Also, just a note, when I was looking this stuff up, I noticed something interesting. Sometimes, when I read about something like sexual orientation, it gives a little qualifier, actual or perceived. Something like, the offense was committed based on the actual or perceived sexual orientation of the victim. Meaning, it could be a hate crime if the target was believed to be gay, regardless of whether they actually were gay. Again, another important takeaway. The FBI site mentioned collecting statistics. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center explains that we can't address our nation's hate crime problem without measuring it accurately, and that the FBI has been collecting hate crime data since 1991 and releases a hate crime report each year. However, the Southern Poverty Law Center cautions that the FBI report vastly understates the extent of the problem for a couple of reasons. In almost half of all hate crimes, victims never report the crime to police. But also, when it is reported, the FBI may never hear about it. Because reporting this information by law enforcement agencies to the FBI is voluntary. Okay, so now I understand the nuts and bolts. A hate crime is a traditional offense with a unique motivation, bias against characteristics of the victim considered integral to social identity. We should have good stats to understand the extent of the problem, but the data we currently have does not show the full picture. Got it. Now, I'd like to know one last thing. Why is it important to have hate crime laws? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, hate crimes have a broader effect than most other kinds of crime. Hate crime victims include not only the crime's immediate target, but also others like them. Hate crimes affect families, communities, and at times, the entire nation. All right, good stuff. Now when I encounter the topic of hate crimes, I will have a better understanding of what we are talking about. And if you would like to learn more about hate crimes, you could look up statistics. I only explained, but didn't provide any numbers. Or you could look up exactly how do hate crimes damage communities. Keep watching Road Talks Race to better understand our complex social world.